Welcome. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome the President of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko, here on his first official visit to Stockholm. We have met, I visited Ukraine March 2015. We have met in New York, in Brussels, and so we are getting to know one another, and that is good. Now, together with our EU partner, Sweden has agreed on a firm response to Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea and Sevastopol, also on its aggression towards the eastern Ukraine. We are also following with grave concern the worsening human rights situation in the illegally annexed Crimea. In these difficult and challenging times, Sweden continues to stand firmly by Ukraine's side. We will continue to provide all the support that we can offer. Today, we have discussed how Sweden can best continue to support Ukraine in its reform efforts and also to forge closer links with the European Union. We have talked about the need for continued efforts to fight corruption, strengthening the rule of law, pursue the decentralization, and also the energy efficiency reforms already underway. We recognize and we welcome the reforms that have already been introduced. We have to bear in mind that you have succeeded in accomplishing more over these last 2 years compared to what was achieved in the 2 decades following the independence of Ukraine. And at the same time, we also agree that important reforms remain to be implemented. We have, of course, also discussed the security situation in eastern Ukraine, the Minsk process, the path to peace for Donbass, and full Ukrainian control over its border. President Poroshenko's visit is part also of an intensive series of bilateral meetings and encounters between our 2 countries. I just told the President, actually, since we came into office, a quarter of the Swedish ministers have visited Ukraine. And the frequency and level of these visits should be regarded as a confirmation of my government's commitment to and interest in Ukraine's European future. Thank you. Please, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, dear Stefan. I really want to thank you on behalf of all my delegation and Ukrainian people for the very warm welcome we received today here in Stockholm. The relationship between Sweden and Ukraine today is on the top level. The intensiveness of our meeting of our ministers, meeting of our parliamentarians is very often, and the coordination between our country is very effective. I really want to appreciate you for the very strong and decisive support you paid to Ukraine in implementation of the reform. We're launching together the energy reform, energy efficiency reform. You support us in the anti-corruption reform. You pay a lot of attention for the decentralization reform and many other spheres of our cooperation. And the very important thing is that we feel the very strong and decisive support of the Ukrainian sovereignty, of Ukrainian territorial integrity and Ukrainian independence in time of the Russian aggression on the east of my country and illegal annexation of the Crimea. Sweden is our very reliable partner and friend, and you demonstrate that not only on the bilateral level, but also on the multilateral level, on the level of the European Council, the European Parliament. You all the time support and deliver this form of support to Ukraine. We think that this is extremely important also that the effective forward cooperation of our parliamentarian, we enjoyed the support of the Swedish delegation in different organizations, starting from the Parliamentary Assembly Council of Europe and finishing with the Parliamentary Assembly OSCE and many other organizations, and this is extremely important for us. We think that the vitally important question also is the question of sanction. And decisive and firm support of Sweden that if Minsk agreement would not be implemented, if Russian occupational troops will remain on Ukrainian occupied territory, if OSCE inspector will not allow to monitor the occupied territory, if it would not be the firm ceasefire, it would not be withdraw the heavy artillery and weapons, and if Russia will continue to kill Ukrainian, sanctions should remain. And this firm position of Sweden, we very much appreciate it. And when we were asked what we need, now we need European unity. Unity in European Union and transatlantic unity. And we are absolutely sure that on the meeting on the European Union Council on December, the sanction will roll over because unfortunately we do not have any type of significant progress in any sphere. Russia continues to deliver the troops, Russia continues to deliver the armaments, weapons, Russia acting absolutely irresponsible, and with this situation, the only possible reaction of the civilized world should be the continuation of the sanction. And also we count on the principal position of Sweden about the Opal project, about Nord Stream project, and we still have some time to discuss it today, because this is the politically motivated project which do not have any economic sense, and with that situation, I think the open discussion would be very effective for us. I want to thank also our Swedish partner, Mr. Prime Minister, for the effective cooperation in United Nations. You know that tomorrow it would be voting in the Third Committee of the United Nations, the special resolution about the human rights in Crimea. I want to thank Sweden because Sweden is a co-sponsor of this resolution together with Ukraine, and we very much hope that tomorrow would be another demonstration of the reaction of the global community about the brutal violation of the human rights in Crimea and reaction of the illegal annexation of the Crimea by Russia. I'm really enjoy that from the 1st of January, year 2017, we shoulder to shoulder will work together in the Security Council of the United Nations, and I'm definitely sure that we enjoyed very much and very effective cooperation in this sphere of our international coordination. And first of all, that would be delivery the absolutely important approach to the global security. With that situation, I think we need to work hard on that. Coming back to the sanction, we think that it would be extremely effective if the sanction would be introduced not for the 6 months, but for the 1 year. And we put forward this proposal to our European partners and think that that would be extremely effective. If Russia demonstrates any progress with this situation, it's very easy to lift the sanction. But that would be the strong motivation to keep Russia at the table of negotiation and to create for them strong motivation to do their things, to bring peace back on Ukrainian land, Ukrainian soil, and to stop the occupation. And then I want to thank once again to the Prime Minister, to my friend Stefan, for the very strong support Swedish government paid to Ukraine. And I'm absolutely sure that my visit can demonstrate the results of our partnership when we reach new agreements in the sphere of our diplomatic cooperation, political cooperation, economic cooperation, and cultural cooperation. And very important thing about the visa-free. We also agreed about our coordinated efforts that in the situation when Ukraine fulfilled all the criteria, we make 144 reforms, which was approved by the Special Assessment Mission of European Union. Now we need to accelerate the presentation of the visa-free regime for the Ukrainian citizen. And we very much appreciate for our Swedish partner for the very strong support of this position. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Please.
Ukrainian news agency, Interfax Ukraine, the question for both sides. Do you expect the changes in the policy of sanctions against Russia after the US elections? Thank you.
Well, thank you. No, I believe that from the previous discussions we've had within the European Council, I think it's clear that there's a support for prolonging the sanctions. I listened to the President's proposal to prolong for a year, and the most important decision was made earlier when we said that these sanctions are connected to deliver on the Minsk agreement. So that is a principal decision that we've already made. And I'm open to, of course, to discuss different proposals. I think still that is the absolutely most important thing. We need to fulfill the Minsk agreement before lifting sanctions. And that I will stick to as a principle. Then we can discuss different ways of delivering that.
I can only confirm and support what the Prime Minister said, that the continuation, rolling over the sanction is strongly connected with the implementation of the Minsk agreement. And I can once again confirm that Ukraine are receiving the bipartisan support in the United States, and we have a very firm statement which was delivered by representative of both Republican and Democratic parties. And with that situation, we think that the only reason when the sanction can be lifted is the full implementation of Minsk agreement, withdrawal of the occupational troops, and return the control on the uncontrolled part of Ukrainian and Russian border to the Ukrainian side. Very simple.
A question for President Poroshenko from Swedish public television SVT. How worried are you about the president-elect Donald Trump in the United States and what he has been saying during his campaign about that USA could consider recognizing Crimea as a part of Russia, saying that there are no proof of Russian military involvement in the war in eastern Ukraine? How worried are you? You have said that you count on US as an allied partner, but when you heard this during the campaign, how worrisome was that? And what would the consequences be if there is a deal between the Trump administration and President Putin and Russia above your head about, for example, recognizing Crimea as part of Russia? Thank you.
We do not have any information about the possibility about the deal between the US and Russia. This is not deal between the US president, but deal between United States and Russia about the Crimea. No one state in the world, except it seems to me North Korea or Venezuela, recognize the Crimea. Look, United States is not the North Korea. And let's respect United States people, United States and United States president. I cannot imagine that. With the situation, does I want the sanction against Russia? No. I want Russian troops would be out from my country. And the sooner it's happened, the better. The sooner it would be Minsk agreement would be implemented, the better. The sooner with that situation sanctions would be lifted, the better. Ukraine is the most interesting party in that because every single day I have a wounded and killed soldiers. Every single day I have a wounded and killed civilians. And this is completely unacceptable, to act like nothing happened. And with that situation, I'm absolutely sure that the new president-elect is completely strong enough in the effective cooperation with Ukraine, no doubt.
Пане президенте, якщо можна,
Mr. President, I would like to ask the question in Ukrainian. What do you expect from the Ukraine-EU summit that will take place next week? I can tell you one thing, that the previous agreements that have been made with the heads of states, members of the European Union, and the leadership of the European Council of the European Union and the delegation of the European Commission laid all the grounds for me to be optimistic and to have a good answer about the visa liberalization regime. Today, we still have an issue that is still not connected to Ukraine. For instance, the mechanism for blocking or stopping this visa-free regime. There are some discussion at the institutional level between the delegation of the European Commission and the Council of the European Union, a number of occasions, and I think it will be confirmed in the near future that we take a very firm stand from all European countries that Ukraine has implemented all the criteria, that Ukraine has done everything it was supposed to. That's been confirmed by the independent assessment missions and statements made by the leadership of the European Union. And the only thing that we need nowadays, and we have discussed this today with the Prime Minister, the decision of the European Parliament. The leadership of the largest groups of the European Parliament made a clear statement that they are for this visa-free regime with Ukraine, and nowadays all we have to do is to find a formula that will enable us to demonstrate this progress, and I do hope that this will take place before the meeting, before the summit, Ukraine-European Union. We still have this hope, and I'll do everything I could to make it happen. Останнє питання, будь ласка.
Both of you. Yesterday, both Bulgaria and Moldova chose new leaders described as more pro-Russian than the previous ones. How do you look upon Russian increased influence and presence in Eastern and Central Europe, and does this worry you?
I hate the idea that we put a label of pro-Russian, pro-Ukrainian, pro-European. They are very famous politicians, and I'm absolutely confident that the policy of both leaders should be and would be pro-European, pro-Moldovan, and pro-Bulgarian. That is the position which we expected. In any case, we are ready to demonstrate the effective cooperation both to Moldova and Bulgaria. And I really hope that some irresponsible discussion during the campaign would not be implemented as an official figure after the election. We received the messages about that even before the election, and we expected that these messages would be confirmed immediately after the election. But from the very beginning, I said that we, as Ukrainian, and me as Ukrainian president, demand the most. Not money, not advisory support, not even military support. We demand the European unity, because this is in favor of European Union. This is in favor of people of European Union, and this is in favor of Ukraine.
Thank you. I fully agree with the president. It is not our task to increase tensions or division. On the contrary, the task now is to build common security, and the unity of the European Union is crucial. And I believe all the European Union leaders also see that and acknowledge that, because if we fail the unity, there is so much at stake here. And I clearly feel after the Brexit that the remaining 27 members have a strong commitment on making the European Union work. And I also finally would like to say that sometimes we can see that also in the American campaign, election campaign, that we do not really know what will be the fully outcome. From one thing in a campaign, we have another situation after the campaign, and our task must be to build a common security together. Thank you.
Thank you.